Part 100. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 991. In the days that followed, the Hope Expeditionary Forces were training like crazy every day. An area about 100 kilometers away from their city became the training place for the Hope Expeditionary Forces. Each of the 3 space battleships was a camp. Every day, the 2 camps fought each other. After the results came out, the winning side continued to fight the other camp. When each training session was over, the camp that lost the most would be responsible for making dinner, washing clothes, and even smelly socks for the camp that won the most. Because it was training, they did not really attack each other, but turned on the simulation training mode. In this mode, the energy beams emitted by the fighters would not really damage the fighters, but the fighters that also turned on this mode would simulate the changes after being hit by this energy beam, or be damaged, or crashed. Except that there would be no real loss of fighters, it was almost the same as a real war. Fighters flying all over the sky constantly changed their formations. These soldiers of the Hope Expeditionary Force hoped to add the formations they had used on land to the air battle, but because air battles are 3-dimensional, both the formation composition and the number of members should be modified as much as possible. As for Wang Feng and Lu Wanting, they did not mix with them. Even if a war really started in the future, Lu Wanting would definitely be in the warship. If he drove a fighter plane out, he would probably let more small fighter planes protect her. It's not that he was afraid that she couldn't do it, but out of consideration for her identity. Even Wang Feng couldn't do anything about it. Maybe this is a feature of human society. Once you have a special identity, even if you want to take risks, there may be no way. As for Wang Feng himself, he seems to rarely cooperate with others in battle, so he might as well explore the land of divine punishment. Anyway, there is plenty of time. Just go and see the crystal wall system of the land of divine punishment mentioned by Duan Lei and others. The land of God's punishment is not round like the planets they have visited before, or even if it is round, it is divided into a separate area as the land of God's punishment. Because the land of God's punishment has an edge, unlike Atlantis or the mother planet, it is a planet without edges at all, but it can be circled around it at will. Xiao Wu, Qiu Jian, and Number 7 heard that Wang Feng was going to the crystal wall system, so they also wanted to follow him, because these 3 guys, Qingxuan and Qian, could not drive the small fighter planes of the human race, so they had to take Wang Feng's wind plane. However, only Qiu Jian, Xiao Wu, and Number 7 were going to go. Qian and Qingxuan were attracted by the big lake. This couple who had become zombies lived in a tent by the lake every day, fishing, boating, chasing and playing, and they lived a very comfortable life. Seeing that the 3 excited guys had no intention of being light bulbs, Wang Feng had to sigh and then took them with him. Yes, Number 7 is not a human at all, Xiao Wu is also a young boy who has never been in love. As for Qiu Jian, the only one who has had emotional experience, he has already closed the area in his heart about this aspect, so they did not realize that the 3 of them might disturb Wang Feng and Lu Wanting. A group of 5 people boarded a small fighter plane, and then Lu Wanting drove it to the east of the city. In fact, in the land of God's punishment, they couldn't tell the east, south, west and north, because there was no luminous celestial body like the sun in the sky of the land of God's punishment, and there seemed to be no magnetic field here, and even the compass didn't work at all. Therefore, Duan Lei and the others directly followed their own habits and located the direction of the gate of the inner city of the city built by the Forgotten as the South Gate. Anyway, when they were in Atlantis, the buildings were all facing south. As for the crystal wall system, I hope that the expeditionary force discovered it in the east, and the distance is very far. Lu Feng and Tang Haoshan, who drove the small fighter plane at the time, flew for more than a month before arriving here. At that time, they originally thought that the land of God's punishment was a planet, so they wanted to go around it to see how big the planet was. Unexpectedly, they actually found the end of the world on a planet. The crystal wall system is composed of an unknown substance that looks a bit like crystal. It is like a wall, blocking them in front of them and going straight into the sky. Lu Feng and Tang Haoshan saw it from a long distance. After approaching, the two of them stopped the fighter plane and studied it for a long time, but they didn't find anything. This crystal wall is very hard and their weapons can't damage it. Even if they want to take some back, they can't do it at all. Back to the fighter plane, after flying along the crystal wall for a long time, they still can't see the end, and the same is true when they go up. Lu Feng and Tang Haoshan returned and told Duan Lei about the situation. At that time, because Wang Feng was not there, the Hope Expeditionary Force only had one small fighter plane, so Duan Lei did not pay any more attention to it, especially since Dong Huangtai directly told them that the Divine Punishment Land was surrounded by the crystal wall system. Even the name was given to them by Dong Huangtai. Now that Wang Feng has returned, is there anything to do? So Duan Lei directly told Wang Feng about the existence of the crystal wall system. Hearing that there is such a magical place, Wang Feng must go and see it. Anyway, the communication in the land of divine punishment has been restored, and they can contact each other at any time, so Wang Feng took Lu Wanting and 3 large light bulbs and flew to the place where Lu Feng and Tang Haoshan found the crystal wall system before. However, this time Wang Feng and his team did not rush all the way. Anyway, they had a lot of time now. They walked and stopped for more than 2 months before they saw the crystal wall system that Lu Feng and his team mentioned. After stopping the fighter plane, Wang Feng and his team approached the crystal wall system and tried to knock on it. Wang Feng even took out his Xianyuan sword and looked at the crystal wall system twice, but there was no trace left. Wang Feng frowned, turned his head and looked at Qiu Jian, who had already drawn his sword and had been looking at himself, and nodded gently. Seeing Wang Feng's agreement, Qiu Jian was not polite and directly infused the long sword with the power of destruction, and then stabbed the crystal wall with the sword. However, Qiu Jian's indestructible power of destruction seemed to be limited here. After the long sword touched the crystal wall, although the long sword slowly penetrated into the crystal wall, it looked quite laborious, and there was no such indestructible feeling as before. But at least it can be destroyed. As long as there is enough time, we should be able to see what is behind the crystal wall. Unexpectedly, the crystal wall that looked quite thick was not that thick. The resistance in front disappeared just after the long sword penetrated halfway. Qiu Jian was caught off guard and leaned forward and hit the crystal wall directly. He quickly stretched out his right arm and supported himself on the crystal wall. After pushing his body back to the original position, Qiu Jian drew out his long sword. Wang Feng on the side hurriedly came up to see what was behind the crystal wall. But what surprised Wang Feng and the others was that after Qiu Jian's sword was retracted, the small hole he had made closed up very quickly. This crystal wall system actually had the ability to repair itself. Everyone was shocked. Generally speaking, those who can repair themselves should be some kind of creatures. Could this crystal wall system be a huge creature? No. As soon as he thought of this, Wang Feng immediately shook his head. He did not feel any fluctuations of life energy from this crystal wall system. Moreover, when the small hole was completely closed, he saw the situation on the opposite side. Although it was only a very brief glance, it was enough for the sky eye, which already had the attribute of time, to see the situation on the opposite side clearly. However, Wang Feng, who saw the situation on the opposite side, was also completely puzzled, because he had never seen the environment on the opposite side, but he was absolutely sure that the opposite side was not a good place. The space opposite had a background somewhat similar to the universe, very dark and deep, with gray lines constantly appearing, which looked like a gust of wind with dust blowing past. He stretched out his hand and touched the place where Qiu Jian had stabbed before, and found that he could not feel any trace of damage at all. Wang Feng looked at Qiu Jian again. "Come again, Try to expand it a little bit. Qiu Jian nodded, and then covered the longsword with the power of destruction again, and this time Qiu Jian increased the output of the power of destruction, making the diameter of the black light on the common side expand a lot. After stabbing the longsword into the crystal wall again, Qiu Jian pushed the longsword forward little by little until it pierced the crystal wall again. Then, Qiu Jian did not draw out the longsword immediately, but looked at Wang Feng. Wang Feng shook his hand and took out a miniature camera directly, and then nodded to Qiu Jian. Qiu Jian quickly drew out his longsword, and Wang Feng threw the camera in his hand into the hole of Qiu Jian's longsword at this moment, and his other hand picked up the signal receiver in his hand. This camera is divided into two parts, one is the camera, and the other is the signal receiver. Wang Feng took out a tablet from his Xianyuan space again, and then plugged the signal receiver into the tablet, and then turned on the tablet, wanting to take a closer look at what was going on the other side. Due to the angle problem before, Wang Feng could only see a very small range, and this time, he hoped to see more. However, after turning on the tablet and setting the screen display directly to the picture received by the camera's signal receiver, the people who came to watch were stunned at the same time, because they basically saw nothing. The content displayed inside was really related to the other side for less than a second, and almost at the moment when Wang Feng threw it in, the camera stopped working directly. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 992. Everyone looked at each other. Where is the place on the other side? Is there anyone else? How else was the camera destroyed? Others don't know, but Wang Feng knows very well that this camera is the most high-tech product on the home planet. The casing is very hard and is not easily damaged. Now it hangs up without even lasting a second. Qiu Jian, try and see if you can cut off a piece. Wang Feng turned to look at Qiu Jian and said, there is no way, even his Xianyuan sword can't destroy this crystal wall, only the pervert Qiu Jian who works hard can do it. But speaking of Qiu Jian, this guy is simply a being who is dedicated to breaking the rules. Any defense is useless in front of him. Wang Feng used the tip of the Xianyuan sword and used his maximum strength, but he couldn't even defeat him. There are some traces left on the crystal wall. But Qiu Jian can directly pierce this crystal wall. No wonder among so many evolvers, Qiu Jian is the only human being with the attribute of destruction. Especially after integrating the devouring attribute, Qiu Jian's battery life has also been greatly improved. As long as the opponent is not an undead creature that cannot absorb life energy at all, Qiu Jian can basically be regarded as a perpetual motion machine. Hearing Wang Feng's words, Qiu Jian looked at the crystal wall, stepped forward again, and pierced the crystal wall with his long sword. This time, because Wang Feng wanted him to get some of the material of the crystal wall, Qiu Jian he inserted his sword diagonally into the crystal wall. However, due to the slow cutting speed and the rapid self-healing speed of the crystal wall itself, Qiu Jian spent a long time without even getting off a small piece of the crystal wall. Qiu Jian couldn't help being furious, and once again covered the long sword with all his destructive power, and then used all his strength to stab the sword on the crystal wall. Then, he stirred the long sword vigorously to expand the pierced hole as much as possible. However, after using all his strength for a long time, it still had no effect at all. Qiu Jian had no choice but to draw out his long sword angrily. However, the moment Qiu Jian drew out his long sword, a red object suddenly shot out from the hole where Qiu Jian had just stabbed, and made a sharp sound of breaking through the air. Qiu Jian subconsciously turned his head, and the red object flew past Qiu Jian's ear. Wang Feng, who was next to Qiu Jian, quickly stretched out his hand to grab the thing, because Wang Feng was fast enough. So he actually grabbed the object directly in his hand. Crack! Wang Feng did not grab the object. Because the speed was quite fast, the impact of the object was naturally very strong. Even with Wang Feng's body strength, he was not able to block the red object. It directly hit Wang Feng's middle finger. After breaking off his ring finger, he continued to fly towards the land of divine punishment. Boom! Before Wang Feng and the others could react, a loud noise rang out. The red object, by accident, hit their small fighter plane parked aside. They didn't know whether the red object hit them. Wherever the small fighter plane was, it actually exploded the small fighter plane and turned it into countless fragments, flying everywhere. Wang Feng's figure shot out. Although he was affected by the explosion of the small fighter plane, Wang Feng's sky eye still captured the flight trajectory of the red object. Therefore, without thinking, Wang Feng directly activated the blast, and then teleporting through the explosion area of the small fighter plane, chasing the red object. However, what surprised Wang Feng was that the red object was not a living thing, but a crystal clear, oval-shaped red stone that looked like a ruby. It seemed that it had lost its power, so after continuing to fly for a while, the small stone that gradually lost its momentum was once again caught in Wang Feng's hand. After Wang Feng caught the small stone, he observed it carefully and found that the small stone is actually quite beautiful. It has a hazy red color, is quite transparent, and is also very round. Wang Feng sensed it carefully and found that there seemed to be a faint energy fluctuation in this small stone, but it was not obvious. At least now, it seemed that it was just a beautiful stone. But looking at his right hand that lost 2 fingers, Wang Feng didn't think the stone was very beautiful. Although for Wang Feng, the 2 lost fingers would grow back soon, but the missing fingers, the feeling is definitely not pleasant. After returning to Jingbai again, Wang Feng looked at the remains of the small fighter plane and suddenly thought of something, so he immediately took out a small fighter plane from Xianyuan space. Anyway, in his Xianyuan space, now there are also an inventory of more than 100,000 small fighters, which are specially reserved for the Hope Expeditionary Force. Therefore, the loss of a small fighter plane was not a concern for Wang Feng at all. Each of the flagship-level space battleships has nearly 10 million small fighters parked inside, and the Hope Expeditionary Force only has less than 100,000 people, so there is simply no way to use them all. As for Lu Wanting, her eyes lit up when she saw the small red stone. Girls have an almost fanatical preference for this kind of thing, just like the legendary dragons. Wang Feng shook his head. Anyway, the small stone seemed to be in no danger now. He simply threw the small stone to Lu Wanting. From the time they met until now, it seems that Wang Feng has not really given Lu Wanting a decent gift. Of course, various potions cannot be counted, because almost everyone else has that thing. After taking out the small fighter plane, Wang Feng jumped directly in, then turned on the communicator and started calling Dong Huangtai. Perhaps only Dong Huangtai could know something about this mysterious crystal wall. Since Wang Feng has returned, it is now hoped that the Expeditionary Force's communications have been completely restored, because Wang Feng has removed many communicators from the fighter planes specifically for communication between them. Dong Huangtai's voice soon came out from the communicator, as if he was still eating something in his mouth. Dong Huangtai, do you know what kind of space is behind the crystal wall? Why does it look so scary? Not only is it dark and deep, but it also seems to be gray. Wang Feng said, but he really didn't know what words he should use to describe those gray lines that kept flashing. I know. Isn't it just space turbulence? I'm warning you. But never, what? Dong Huangtai's voice seemed a little careless at first, but then he seemed to realize something, and his voice suddenly raised an octave. You said you saw the space on the other side of the crystal wall? How did you see it? How did you see it? Wang Feng was stunned. Then he replied. If you break a hole in the crystal wall, wouldn't you be able to see it? Fart. Dong Huangtai actually uttered a foul language, which shocked Wang Feng, Lu Wanting, Qiu Jian and others who also entered the fighter plane. How could you possibly break through that crystal wall? That's a crystal wall used to isolate the universe. It's harder than a portal. It's impossible for you to even leave traces on it and break a hole. Dong Huang Tai. Did I lie to you and get stinky tofu? Wang Feng shook his head helplessly. You forgot, we still have Chuji on here. Although it is very difficult to break, but, this crystal wall cannot stop his destructive power. There was no sound from Dong Huang Tai for a long time. It seemed that Dong Huang Tai could not accept that what he believed in had been overturned. Call. Finally, a sigh from Dong Huang Tai came from the communicator, and then he said. Damn it! I forgot that you guys are all perverts. But don't compete with that crystal wall system. Even if it can be broken, it will be of no use to you. Outside the crystal wall system, there is space turbulence. The moment you enter, you will be torn to pieces. Even your Xianyuan sword may not be able to withstand the cutting of dimensional rays from the space turbulence. Because that thing directly cuts the space. No matter how hard the material is, it will not help. Even if you throw the portal in, it may be directly torn to pieces. There will be no objects in the turbulent flow of space, except, forget it. You can't see it anyway. When Dong Huang Tai said this, he seemed to lose his interest in talking and said directly. In short, you can do whatever you want, but don't continue to destroy the crystal wall. Otherwise, if the dimensional rays are accidentally drifted in, you will be in big trouble. Except for the crystal wall system, there cannot be any matter in this world. Those who can withstand the cutting of dimensional rays, oh. By the way, except for that little pervert Yu Jian, the law of destruction is a more advanced law than the law of space and time, and has even reached the level of rules. Therefore, the power of destruction it can resist dimensional rays. Dong Huang Tai, did you just say except? Except for what? Wang Feng asked immediately and looked at the small stone in Lu Wanting's hand. He had a hunch that the thing Dong Huang Tai was talking about was probably this small stone. Because Dong Huang Tai also said that there cannot be any objects in the turbulent flow of space. Whether they are living objects or dead objects, they will be shattered by those gray dimensional rays. But this small stone flew out of the turbulent flow of space. Although this small stone was not big, only the size of an egg yolk, judging from the density of the gray lines that Wang Feng had seen before, it was impossible that it had not been affected by those the gray lines are touched. Now Wang Feng can almost confirm that these seemingly inconspicuous gray lines should be the extremely terrifying and indestructible dimensional rays that Dong Huang Tai mentioned. But look at the surface of this stone. It is smooth and round, with no sign of being cut at all. So, is it the thing Dong Huang Tai was referring to? Except, the ultimate rough stone. Dong Huang Tai hesitated for a moment, but still gave the answer. The ultimate rough stone you are talking about, is it a small red stone? Wang Feng asked carefully. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 993. After Wang Feng finished speaking, there was no movement in the communicator for a long time. Just when Wang Feng and others were confused, the earth-shattering voice of Dong Huang Tai came. What did you say? Wait for me there, I'll come right away. Dong Huang Tai's roar made Wang Feng and the others stunned. Are you coming now? Brother. Do you know how long it takes to get here from your place? We are all planning to go back. Do we still have to wait for you here? Wait a moment. Wang Feng shouted quickly, because it seemed that Dong Huang Tai was going to hang up the communication immediately, and then rushed out to find someone to get a small fighter plane. Check to see if it's this first. Then, Wang Feng adjusted the communicator and started the video call directly. The communicator on the fighter plane can display the image of the opposite side, but generally when using the communicator on the fighter plane, it is basically while flying the fighter plane, so it is very difficult. Few people use it, and most of them only use voice. After starting the video call, Wang Feng took the small stone from Lu Wanting's hand, and then placed it in front of the camera so that Dong Huangtai could see this strange stone. Since the video call was turned on, Wang Feng and the others could also see Dong Huangtai. They saw Dong Huangtai staring at the screen. After a while, he seemed to wake up from a dream. He said to the communicator, "Did this come out of the turbulent flow of space? If so, then it should be the ultimate rough stone. After all, I have never seen this thing. I have only heard legends about it. In addition, your side, Count, no. Definitely not, otherwise the ultimate original stone would have disappeared by now." Dong Huangtai's clueless words made Wang Feng and the others itch with hatred. Why should they just forget about it? Why don't you just stop talking about it halfway? Isn't it just to whet your appetite? This is so humming painful. Dong Huangtai. Wang Feng gritted his teeth and asked. What's the use of this ultimate rough stone? And what's wrong with us here? Why forget it? Can you just finish what you say? Dong Huangtai seemed to have regained his composure at this time. After he sighed, he sat back on the chair and began to explain slowly. The ultimate raw stone is said to be a stone that was condensed when the original star was born and the various laws of heaven and earth were first formed. If these stones can be obtained and successfully fused, they can make their corresponding laws reach the ultimate level, so it's called the ultimate rough stone. It's just that this kind of ultimate raw stone cannot be fused after being obtained. Only a creature recognized by the ultimate raw stone can fuse it. Now it seems that none of you can fuse it. The ultimate rough stone. What kind of ultimate rough stone is this? Why does it exist in the turbulence of space? Wang Feng asked. Obviously, if this kind of ultimate rough stone has been in the turbulence of space since the day it was born, where did this statement about the ultimate rough stone come from? Is it possible that there are creatures with the same destructive attributes at this time, and like them, they broke through the space crystal wall system, got an ultimate rough stone, and just got the recognition of the ultimate rough stone? I don't know this. Dong Huangtai shook his head. After all, I only knew about the existence of this ultimate rough stone from ancient legends. If you hadn't said that you could break through the crystal wall system, I might not have been able to remember this thing. Then are there many ultimate rough stones? Wang Feng asked again. Kindness. Ms. Dong Huang nodded. Each attribute between heaven and earth has a corresponding ultimate rough stone. Even time and space also have time rough stones and space rough stones. However, not only do you want to get them, you have to look at opportunities. Even if you get them, you may not necessarily get them. To get its recognition. Okay. I get it. After Wang Feng nodded, he felt that he could not get any more information from Dong Huangtai, so he directly disconnected the communication, and Dong Huangtai didn't seem to want to come over now. After hanging up the communication, Wang Feng looked back at Qiu Jian. Qiu Jian nodded without hesitation. Of course he knew what Wang Feng meant, which was to let him continue his previous work and stab a few holes on the crystal wall. Make a hole to see if there are any more stones like this, and keep flying out. As for the one they got before, Wang Feng still threw it to Lu Wanting. Since no one here has been recognized, let's leave it to Lu Wanting first. As for whether this ultimate rough stone can find someone recognized by it after returning, then let's talk about it later when we get back. Since he knew that this inconspicuous little stone had such an awesome origin, Qiu Jian directly turned into a coolie in the following time, constantly drilling into the crystal wall with his long sword. Hole. Because he was the only one with this ability, Wang Feng and the others became bystanders, barbecued and making soy sauce happily. In fact, Wang Feng had also thought about whether to use Xian Yuan sword to help Qiu Jian. Although the Xian Yuan sword cannot break through the crystal wall, Qiu Jian has already broken through it. He might be able to use the Xian Yuan sword to support it. If he can sense the ultimate rough stone in the turbulence of the outside space, he might be able to directly put it into the Xian Yuan space. But in the end Wang Feng gave up this tempting idea, because those gray lines had the ability to split space, and Wang Feng did not dare to take risks with Xian Yuan sword easily. Once the Xian Yuan sword is damaged, the Xian Yuan space may disappear, and his loss will be great. At least, when attacking the headquarters of the Cosmic Ghost, the 3 space battleships cannot be taken out. Without the space battleships, it is undoubtedly a foolish dream to fight with the numerous space battleships of the Cosmic Ghost. However, unfortunately, after 3 consecutive months, Qiu Jian has pierced countless holes in the crystal wall system, but no more extreme raw stones have flown out, which makes Wang Feng a little disappointed. Forget it. Let's go. Wang Feng finally gave up. He stood up and said helplessly. Qiu Jian also shook his head, and then drew out the long sword, but just after Qiu Jian drew out the long sword, a green light suddenly appeared and shot towards Lu Wanting at an extremely fast speed. Wang Feng was shocked and quickly teleported to take Lu Wanting away from the original place and avoid the green light. Afterwards, Wang Feng put Lu Wanting down and chased after the green light. When he caught up with the green light, Wang Feng grabbed it in his hand. It was indeed another ultimate rough stone. This stone, except for being green, was exactly the same as the red stone he had obtained before. I'll go. Looking at the ultimate rough stone in his hand, Wang Feng began to feel conflicted. He was originally ready to leave, but when he was leaving, another ultimate rough stone appeared again. Should he leave? Or should he stay? Let's go. After struggling for a while, Wang Feng finally made up his mind and chose to leave. It took so long to get another one. It seems that this ultimate rough stone is not so easy to get. Moreover, the 2 ultimate rough stones in a row seemed to have no feeling for the 5 people here. No one was recognized by them at all. In this case, it would be better to go back first. At least we should see if there is anyone in the expeditionary force who can be recognized by these 2 stones. Otherwise, no matter how many stones are found, if they are not recognized, they cannot use them, and then these ultimate raw stones will be no different from ordinary stones. None of the other 4 people objected to Wang Feng's decision. In fact, Xiao Wu and number 7 regretted going out with Wang Feng. They did nothing but wandered around. They should have stayed in the city, at least they could go fishing. When they got here, they were facing the broken crystal wall and could not see anything else. It was a big loss. Especially Qiu Jian, not only did he not get anything, but he was also used as a coolie, constantly drilling holes in the crystal wall. The activity of drilling holes is divided into different places. For example, Wang Feng's kind of enjoyment, but Qiu Jian's kind is undoubtedly miserable. And there is no life energy on the crystal wall to replenish Qiu Jian, which means that Qiu Jian's swallowing ability is useless here. Qiu Jian tried to use the swallowing ability on the crystal wall before, and he also felt that something seemed to have entered his body, but his body did not react to it. Qiu Jian couldn't hold on any longer. When he heard Wang Feng say that he wanted to leave, he wanted to raise his hands and feet to agree. The group boarded the fighter plane, and then Wang Feng flew into the sky. They stayed at the crystal wall for more than 3 months. Adding the journey back and forth, more than half a year had passed. Wang Feng planned that he would not come out again after returning this time. There was really nothing to see in the land of divine punishment. The scenery was the same everywhere. There were 2 slightly different places, one was their city, and the other was here in the crystal wall. Now they felt that, by comparison, the city was better. Even Qiu Jian and Xiao Wu, who had been here for more than 10 years, had the same idea now. After returning to the city, Wang Feng's first move was to contact Duan Lei, who was still training, and asked him to gather all the Hope Expeditionary Forces. When everyone had gathered, Wang Feng took the two extreme raw stones from Lu Wanting, then looked at the Hope Expeditionary Forces, suddenly launched a gust of wind, and rushed towards them. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 994. After a while, Wang Feng came back somewhat dejected. He hoped that among the nearly 100,000 expeditionary troops, not a single one was recognized by the two dam stones. Wang Feng felt that he and Lu Wanting and the others had been busy for nothing for the past half year. They only brought back two nice-looking stones, which he exchanged for with 2 fingers. Seeing Wang Feng's depressed expression, Dong Huangtai smiled. Just because there are none here doesn't mean there are none elsewhere. Not all human beings are here. Wang Feng thought about it, and it seemed that he could only comfort himself with this. Fortunately, it seemed that Lu Wanting liked the 2 stones very much. Even if no one was recognized, it would be considered as 2 small gifts for Lu Wanting. However, when fighting other enemies, such as the cosmic ghosts, the 2 stones must be temporarily stored in Xianyuan space, otherwise, if any cosmic ghosts get their approval, Wang Feng will cry to death. Since he knew that he had been busy for nothing, in the following days, Wang Feng and Lu Wanting started their own vacation around the city, rowing, fishing, picnicking and camping every day, which was the most leisurely and long vacation since the two met. Originally, Wang Feng stipulated a year of training time for the Hope Expeditionary Force to adapt to air combat and change their combat formation. After all, the Hope Expeditionary Force had experienced very few air combats. If they did not adapt first, they might suffer great losses when they raided the cosmic ghosts. So, after a year, Wang Feng and his team did not open the portal immediately, but continued to let Lu Feng and others lead the Hope Expeditionary Force to conduct simulated battles to improve their air combat capabilities. As for Wang Feng, he finally cancelled his vacation and started to study with Duan Lei what method they should take to raid the headquarters of the Universe Ghost. At present, they have come up with a total of methods. 1. Wang Feng went out alone, drove a small fighter, broke through the defense of the Universe Ghost, rushed into space, and then released the space battleship to attract the attention of the Universe Ghost, so that they could attack Wang Feng's space battleship with all their strength. Wang Feng, who has sufficient energy, can persist for a long time alone. During this time, the rest of the Hope Expeditionary Force passed through the portal at full speed and then escaped into the universe. When a certain number was reached, Wang Feng also evacuated and took all the small fighters back to the Yanhuang. After that, Wang Feng used another space battleship again and went to the headquarters of the Universe Ghost to attack again. He repeated it 3 times. After everyone came out, they could face the Universe Ghost head-on with their full strength. However, this method also has some drawbacks. First of all, it needs to be repeated 3 times. The Cosmic Ghost is not so stupid that it keeps attacking Wang Feng. It may succeed the first time, but the second time, the Cosmic Ghost will transfer the main force of the attack to those small fighters. Moreover, this will also give the Cosmic Ghosts the opportunity to prepare, so that they have enough time to summon the outer space fleet back. The Cosmic Ghost headquarters is usually guarded by only 2 space battleships, but they have these 7 or 8 space fleets in other places. Once all these space fleets return, I am afraid that Wang Feng and his men will really have no way to fight them, because the number gap is too great, and this gap can never be made up by the performance of space battleships. As for the second method, no matter how much, once the portal is opened, all the fighters will rush out of the portal one by one, and directly form a combat team after entering. Instead of entering space, they will attack the cosmic ghosts on the surface of the planet. In this way, the cosmic ghosts who are not on guard at all can be thrown into chaos in an instant. As long as this chaos is dragged until all their fighters rush out of the portal, their mission will be completed. However, this tactic is fine if the universe ghost headquarters has only one planet. If they occupy a galaxy, then Wang Feng and his team will be in danger, because now the universe ghost's home planet has actually lost its meaning of existence, and the universe ghost can abandon the home planet without hesitation. If they choose to abandon the home planet, as long as the space battleship fires a salvo, Wang Feng and his team will suffer heavy losses, or even be wiped out. As for the third method, it is the safest. After opening the portal, Wang Feng will go out alone, without even a small fighter plane. After going out, he will directly use teleportation to leave, and the portal will be closed immediately. Even if the universe ghost finds that the portal has been opened, it will definitely not know why, because they can't think that after the portal of their original star is destroyed, Wang Feng and his team can actually go to the secondary universe to find another portal and come back, and can also pass through this portal and directly enter their headquarters. After that, Wang Feng could lurk in the headquarters of the Space Ghost and wait for an opportunity to create chaos. With Wang Feng's strength, it would not be a big problem to steal a small fighter or even a space battleship. However, since Wang Feng could no longer contact Duan Lei and his team after he went out, he had to book a time in advance to maximize the effect. These three raid methods all have some uncertainty, so it is difficult for Wang Feng and his team to decide. The most important thing is that they have never seen what the Space Ghost headquarters looks like. Only by knowing yourself and the enemy can you win every battle. Now they don't even know what kind of environment they will enter after they go out. How can they determine a perfect action plan? And this time the attackers are from the Cosmic Ghost clan, which can be said to be the most powerful in the outside world. Once an accident occurs, the Hope Expeditionary Force will suffer heavy losses. After studying for more than a month, Wang Feng and Duan Lei have not finally determined their action plan. However, the air combat formation of the Hope Expeditionary Force has not been truly determined, so they still have some time. Right. On this day, Wang Feng suddenly remembered something and turned to look at Dong Huangtai. Dong Huangtai, you said at that time that activating the portal requires two conditions. One is a creature from the sub-universe. You can meet this condition, but don't you also need a cosmic ghost? Where can we find the universe? Go Ghost. When Dong Huangtai mentioned these two prerequisites before, Wang Feng and the others did not pay attention because there were too many things going on at the time. But now that the raid on the Cosmic Ghost has been put on the agenda, Wang Feng suddenly remembered that it seems that there is still a Cosmic Ghost missing to help them activate the portal. When did I say I needed a Cosmic Ghost? Dong Huangtai. What I'm talking about is, a creature with Cosmic Ghost genes. Is there a difference? Wang Feng was stunned. Aren't creatures with Cosmic Ghost genes just Cosmic Ghosts? You forgot someone, right? Duan Lei seemed to understand at this time and looked up at Wang Feng. Number 7. He has the genes of the Cosmic Ghost. Hearing Duan Lei's words, Wang Feng suddenly realized, yes. The Devourer is this guy Xian Yuan, who was created by mixing the genes of humans, Cosmic Ghosts, and a race called the Namekians, so number 7 naturally possesses the genes of the Cosmic Ghosts. I'll go. It seems like these things are, really a coincidence. Wang Feng let out a sigh of relief. Now that they knew there was no problem with the portal, Wang Feng and the others continued to study their raid plan. 3 years have passed in a blink of an eye, and the Hope Expeditionary Force has finally become fully proficient in its air combat formations. However, Wang Feng and the others still have not determined the final plan to raid the Cosmic Ghost. After learning that the Hope Expeditionary Force had completed training and running in and was ready to go, Wang Feng finally punched the table. This is the last one. I will go in first, and then within a week, you will start to enter the portal, and I will try my best to contain the Cosmic Ghost there. Duan Lei looked at Wang Feng, but in the end he did not offer any opinion. He just nodded, patted Wang Feng on the shoulder, and then said, Then be careful. After resting for another day and lingering wantonly with Lu Wanting, Wang Feng finally came to the front of the portal. At this time, in front of the portal, nearly 100,000 small fighter planes were parked neatly on the ground, because Wang Feng wanted to kill those aircraft first. 3 space battleships were taken away, so naturally small fighters could no longer park among the battleships. Although Wang Feng was the only one preparing to enter the portal, all members of the Hope Expeditionary Force came to the scene to see Wang Feng off. Madman! The more chaos there is, the better. Lu Feng stepped forward, put his shoulder on Wang Feng and said, "This way we will feel a lot more relaxed after we get there, but you should take it easy, don't kill them all, let us take care of ourselves. Rest assured." Wang Feng smiled and said, "I will definitely find a way to have all the battleships of Space Ghosts around the exit of the portal, waiting to receive you properly." Ha 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 ha. Tang Haoshan laughed. "If that's the case, let Lao Lu go out by himself. We don't want to see such a welcome scene. Go, go. You traitor. You gave up before you even entered." Lu Feng said angrily. "Okay. Everyone. See you in a week." Wang Feng suddenly took a deep breath, said loudly, and saluted everyone, then turned and walked towards the portal. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 995. Number 7 and Dong Huangtai were standing on both sides of the portal at this time, looking at Wang Feng. Because this was a sneak attack, they tried not to let the cosmic ghost discover it, so the time they opened the portal must be as short as possible. Naturally, wait until Wang Feng is ready before turning it on. Seeing Wang Feng walking towards the portal, Dong Huangtai suddenly turned his head and looked around. There seemed to be a trace of nostalgia in his eyes. Even number 7 on the other side also showed this look, but, number 7 is not looking at this world, but Wang Feng, Xiao Wuqiujian and other people he is familiar with. Wang Feng was about to enter the headquarters of Cosmic Ghost and try to remain as hidden as possible, so he was adjusting his emotions and mentality and did not notice the abnormality of number 7 and Dong Huangtai. After he arrived in front of the portal, he nodded to Dong Huangtai, indicating that they could start activating the portal. Number 7 took 2 steps forward, came to Wang Feng, patted Wang Feng's shoulder, and suddenly smiled. This seemed to be the first time that number 7, the Devourer, smiled so brightly after integrating himself into human beings. "Madman. Take care. It's nice to meet you." Afterwards, number 7 turned around and came to Dong Huangtai. The two looked at each other and nodded. Then they each stretched out one hand to pull each other up, and the other hand patted the portal together. At the same time, number 7 he shouted loudly. "Madman. Let's go." Wang Feng felt that what number 7 had just said was a bit strange. He was about to stop and ask why. Unexpectedly, at this time, the portal had been activated by the two of them. Wang Feng did not have time to think about it. He flashed and entered the portal. After Wang Feng entered the portal, the hands of number 7 and Dong Huangtai left the portal immediately, and the portal was immediately closed. The entire process took less than a second. Seeing that the speed was so fast, Du Enlai breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. In this case, as long as the cosmic ghost did not send troops to guard the portal, Wang Feng's infiltration would basically not be discovered, although Wang Feng did not have Kali. He has the kind of stealth ability that kills and destroys the third child of the clan, but his teleportation should also be able to help him avoid the cosmic ghost at this time. However, Du Enlai immediately discovered that just after the portal closed, Dong Huangtai's legs weakened and he collapsed directly into No 7's arms. Everyone was shocked and quickly gathered around, but then their hearts sank and they fell into silence. There is no longer any life fluctuation in Dong Huangtai's body. This. Du Enlai raised his head, looked at number 7 and asked in surprise. "This is who?" Number 7 took a long breath and said sadly. "He is dead. This is his mission here. He has been waiting here for tens of thousands of years. In fact, he is here to help us open the door. Now that the portal has been activated, his mission has been completed." Everyone looked at each other, and then looked at Dong Huangtai's body. Only then did they understand why after Wang Feng returned, Dong Huangtai continued to eat all kinds of delicacies, play wantonly, and didn't care about anything else. It turned out that he wanted to enjoy the last period of his life. Number 7 stretched out his hand, took out a memory card from Dong Huangtai's jacket pocket, and handed it to Duan Lei. "This, he told me before that after the portal opens, what will be given to you should be some words he left behind." Duan Lei took the memory card and looked at Tang Haoshan. Tang Haoshan immediately waved his hand, and a soldier from the Hope Expeditionary Force jumped on a fighter plane, then took a tablet and handed it to Duan Lei. Duan Lei inserted the memory card into the tablet, and Dong Huangtai's face suddenly appeared in front of everyone again. He was looking at everyone with a smile and said softly, "When you see this, I am already dead. Although not completely dead, but, basically almost. I have left all the matters behind me to number 7, so I won't talk about it here anymore. What I have to tell you is actually not much. Even after I die, there are some things that cannot be told in advance, because they may change the trajectory of the future and cause unpredictable accidents. There is a paragraph I want to leave you with, which is about the prophecy you heard before. There are actually more than 8 sentences in that prophecy. I will tell you all now, but you must remember that your future may not be the same. According to the development described in this prophecy, the soul you released through the portal in the land of God's punishment has had some impact on your future. At least, my dream has been changed a little. At least, in my original dream, he was not there. I don't know what kind of impact those 2 ultimate rough stones will have on you. In short, the appearance of the ultimate rough stone will definitely not be without any effect, so you only need to use the prophecy I leave next as a reference. Don't take it too seriously." Later, Dong Huangtai began to tell the complete prophecy that he had refused to reveal to Wang Feng before. After experiencing great calamities to the Pure Lands in all directions, watch the fire in the sky destroy the world. Wait for the strange wind to come. Holding the Emperor's blade, enter the place of divine punishment. In the city of death, destroy the eternal enemy. Go through the dimensional door. Destroy the tribes outside the sky. Leave the original star. Return to the place of birth. Restore the order of chaos. Walk the endless road. Slaughter the people of all races. Sorrow the death of the loved ones. Climb the temple of creation. Receive the seal of heaven and earth. Abandon the peak of control. Enter the world of reincarnation. After saying all the prophecies, Dong Huangtai smiled at the camera again, and then said, "In fact, it doesn't matter whether you know this prophecy or not. Anyway, you just need to remember that no matter what happens to you, as long as you follow your heart, you don't need to worry too much. As long as you can keep your original heart, it's enough." Alas, the matter is explained. What else should I explain? Forget it. It seems that I can't say anything else, so I'll just tell you about my favorite food, stinky tofu. Dong Huangtai's expression suddenly became cheerful. When frying stinky tofu, you must put more oil and seasonings. Duan Lei, Lu Feng, and others were all speechless. Seeing that the video had not even reached 1/10 of the progress bar, they could not help but feel speechless towards Dong Huangtai. In the last video this guy left for them, he only talked about the main business for less than 3 minutes, and then started talking about stinky tofu. And from what he said just now, it seemed that there was nothing to talk about in the next nearly half an hour of video. Duanlei's face twitched, and he looked at Dong Huangtai who was still lying motionless in No 7's arms, sighed softly, and then handed the tablet in his hand that was still playing to Lu Feng. Finish watching it, maybe there will be some important information later. Duanlei said softly, although what Dong Huangtai did was great, waiting for more than 100,000 years in a desolate and dangerous place just to activate a portal, such a thing is not something that everyone can be willing to do, especially since he basically doesn't know any of the people he wants to save. According to what Wang Feng said after he came back, this Dong Huangtai, after arriving at the original star, could have not followed him to slaughter the cosmic ghosts, so that he would not have been teleported here, but stayed in the original star and comfortably served as his great prophet. Although this would prevent them from seeing Dong Huangtai in the land of divine punishment, Wang Feng did not receive the guidance of Dong Huangtai when he entered the dimensional space and the portal. Therefore, even if Dong Huangtai did not come, it would not change the history of their universe. Wang Feng would still appear in their secondary universe to save the human race in the world. But Dong Huangtai still came. Knowing his own ending, he still stood here and finally fell. If this role was replaced by Duanlei, he didn't know if he could do the same as Dong Huangtai. If the person he wanted to save was very important to him, Duanlei could definitely do it, but what if they were all strangers? Duanlei really didn't know. However, although Duanlei felt that Dong Huangtai was great at the moment, he didn't think he had to listen to Dong Huangtai's explanation of how to fry stinky tofu, so he simply gave it to Lu Feng. After Lu Feng got it, he gave it to Tang Haoshan very straightforwardly. Tang Haoshan passed it to Gui Weivong without any hesitation, and Gui Weivong found the Mars trio. So, after Duanlei followed number 7 and left with Dong Huangtai's body, he heard Mars shouting loudly. Everyone listen. Who of you likes to eat stinky tofu? Now there is a great opportunity. Here it is. Holding Dong Huangtai's body, number 7 came to the lake opposite the city gate and whispered. Dong Huangtai said that he was a human from the secondary universe and did not want to leave his body in the main universe. Therefore, the land of divine punishment is the best place for him to be buried. Duanlei nodded slightly and began to dig by the lake. Number 7 also gently placed Dong Huangtai's body on the ground and joined Duanlei. In fact, what Dong Huangtai told number 7 before was not just where to bury his body. Originally, number 7 thought that he would die, so he was a little reluctant before. But now, the death of Dong Huangtai made number 7 understand that Dong Huangtai had completely handed over the thing he told himself to do after returning to the human race. Of course, there was also Dong Huangtai's soul that had entered his consciousness and fell into a deep sleep. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 996. Wang Feng, who entered the portal, of course didn't know that Dong Huangtai had died after he entered the portal. When he stepped out of the portal, he immediately looked around and found that just as he expected, the cosmic ghost was not here. For them, guards were placed at the abandoned portal, so Wang Feng immediately teleported and wanted to enter the building closest to him. But just as he teleported, he suddenly heard a voice in his mind. The human race has successfully escaped from the land of God's punishment, and the second endless road has officially begun. This time on the endless road, the race to break through is the human race. The human race has 20 years to prepare. All other races are gatekeeper races. The preparation time has ended. Territory buildings, materials, and tribesmen will be teleported immediately into the Endless Tower. 20 years later, all races will be transported to the entrance of the Endless Road and begin to break through. Hearing this voice, Wang Feng's body immediately stopped in place, and then he discovered that his previous target, a cosmic ghost building, mysteriously disappeared right under his nose. Immediately afterwards, the spaceships, buildings, and vaguely visible figures of space ghosts floating in the sky disappeared in the next moment. This is. Wang Feng turned around and found that he was on a plane. The headquarters of the universe base that was originally on this plane had completely disappeared. Wang Feng didn't bother to get the small fighter plane and flew directly into the air. He walked around and found that all man-made buildings within his visual range had disappeared, including walls and various houses. Recalling the information I got after rushing out of the portal just now, all other races, as time has ended, will enter the Endless Tower immediately. It seems that the entire cosmic ghost family has been transported to the Endless Tower. As for what the second Endless Road is, Wang Feng does not know, but at least Wang Feng understands that according to the current situation, he seems to be it is safe, and I hope that the expeditionary force will not encounter any enemies when they come out. Wang Feng couldn't help but feel a little depressed now. Why did they come up with so many ways to raid the cosmic ghost base if they had known this so long ago? Wouldn't it be enough to just walk out in a big way? But now that's the case, Wang Feng has no choice but to stay here for a week and wait for Duan Lei and the others to come out. Listening to the voice just now, it seems that from now on, it is the preparation time for the human race. It is probably set aside for them to prepare weapons and food for them to break through, right? Wang Feng thought this in his heart. Because he had just left the land of divine punishment, Wang Feng could not figure out what was going on in the outside world. He had to wait for Duan Lei and the others to come out and go to their home planet to see it together, etc. Wang Feng was about to land the small fighter plane first, then take a rest and wait for Duan Lei and the others to come out. Suddenly he remembered that the voice just now seemed to say that the breaker was a human race, only a human race? What the hell does this mean? He also said that the preparation time for all other races is over. Could it be that endless road requires them, the human race, to fight against all races? I'll go. You can't be so cheating, right? Is this too humming exaggerated? How many races are there in the primordial star? Thousands of them. The human race wants to use its own power to fight against all races? This. Wang Feng felt a little confused, but, forget it, let's wait until Duan Lei and the others come out. It's only a week anyway, doesn't the human race have 20 years to prepare? It's still early. It would be more appropriate to leave such a nerve-wracking matter to Duan Lei to consider. Thinking of this, Wang Feng flew directly outside the planet. He wanted to enter space first, and then confirm his position through the star map. Although it may be more appropriate to use the space battleship's detection system to confirm the star map, the 3 space battleships were all brought from the sub-universe, and the stored star maps are naturally from the sub-universe. Wang Feng was afraid of the difference in the rare Earths between the 2 universes, so he had better check the star map stored in the small fighter plane to see if it could match this area. These star maps were collected by countless unmanned spacecrafts released by the human race when they were in the outside world. Therefore, although the human race has never been to the headquarters of Space Ghost, perhaps the star map of this star field has been included. Moreover, the human race has met other races before and exchanged star maps with each other, so Wang Feng thought he could try his luck in outer space first, since he had nothing to do these days anyway. However, just after flying out of the atmosphere of the cosmic ghost mother star and entering outer space, Wang Feng was suddenly startled, because there was a huge space battleship floating quietly in the orbit of the cosmic ghost home star. There. Human race. After seeing the space battleship, Wang Feng couldn't help but blurt out, because the shape of this space battleship was actually the human race's flagship space battleship, which was exactly the same as the Yanhuang he had been driving in Xianyuan space before. However, although Wang Feng had already seen the space battleship did not react at all and was still parked there quietly. What happened? Could it be that the human race has already attacked the home planet of the cosmic ghost? But just now when Wang Feng came out of the portal, he didn't seem to find that the home planet of the cosmic ghost was in a state of war. Wang Feng adjusted the communicator and tried to contact the space battleship in front of him, but there was no response at all. After thinking about it, Wang Feng suddenly had an idea. When he entered the land of divine punishment before, his Yanhuang disappeared inexplicably, along with the three mutant creatures, the mutant willow, the mutant beehive, and the meat. Could it be that, now that he has successfully escaped from the land of divine punishment, those guys have returned the Yanhuang to him? Wang Feng slowly drove the small fighter plane and approached the human space battleship in front of him, but the space battleship never responded, neither answering his call nor moving, and even the energy shield did not rise. After bringing the small fighter close to the head of the human race's space battleship, Wang Feng finally teleported out of the small fighter and flew to the space battleship. He did not teleport directly to the control hall of the space battleship because he was afraid of an ambush. After landing on the space battleship and making some noises, but still not getting a response, Wang Feng finally lost his patience and teleported into the control hall of the space battleship. After entering, Wang Feng finally breathed a sigh of relief. If he could not tell from the appearance whether the space battleship was the Yanhuang, but the moment he entered the control hall, Wang Feng understood that this human race's space battleship was the Yanhuang he had lost at the beginning, and now he finally got it back. He sat directly in the driver's seat and then started the Yanhuang. Wang Feng was surprised to find that the energy reserve of the Yanhuang was full. It seemed that the guys on it also took some care of the races that broke through the level. After trying to drive it and finding that everything was normal on the Yanhuang, Wang Feng couldn't help but be very happy. He still missed the Yanhuang, the first space battleship he got. However, Wang Feng immediately remembered the three mutant creatures that had been left on the Yanhuang before, so he first looked at the star map and found that there was no danger around. However, after hesitating for a while, he still turned on the energy shield of the Yanhuang, then stopped the Yanhuang on the track, and then rushed out of the control hall and ran towards the plantation. When Wang Feng came to the plantation and just opened the hatch, a shadow rushed over in front of him. However, although this shadow was very fast, the sky eye with time attribute still allowed Wang Feng to recognize that this shadow was the little milk cat Rura. Ha 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 ha. Rura. Long time no see, did you miss me? Wang Feng laughed immediately, stretched out his hand and hugged Rura, who rushed over to him directly in his arms. Rura, who hadn't seen Wang Feng for a long time, kept rubbing his little head against Wang Feng and licking his face with his tongue. Wang Feng walked into the plantation with Rura in his arms and found that the willow tree and the mutant beehive were also there, and the plants they had planted before were actually growing luxuriantly. However, Wang Feng was not too surprised about this. After all, the technology on the Yanhuang was very high. As long as the energy was sufficient and the life support system could function normally, the nutrients and light needed by these plants would naturally not be lacking. However, looking at Rura, who had suffered a lot, Wang Feng immediately took out a few monster corpses from the land of divine punishment from his Xianyuan space and threw them to Rura, the mutant willow tree and the mutant beehive. Afterwards, Wang Feng casually communicated with the mutant willow tree and the mutant beehive with his consciousness, and learned that they had been trapped in this plantation since they separated. Although there were some animals raised on the Yanhuang, they were not in this plantation, so in the past 10 years of separation, these three mutant creatures were almost vegetarians. The mutant beehive was okay, after all, this was a plantation, and they had no shortage of raw materials for brewing honey, but the other two were miserable, especially Rura, who was a cat. Not a horse, and kept eating grass. No. It kept eating plants, which could kill it. Fortunately, the relationship between these three mutant creatures was not bad, so the mutant queen bee often let Rura eat 2 mutant bees to satisfy her cravings, which allowed Rura to survive safely. At this time, when Rura saw the corpses of those monsters, he immediately pounced on them, making a humming sound while biting them desperately, and swallowed the meat he wanted without chewing it. Hey! That's not right. Wang Feng suddenly slapped his head, then turned and rushed out of the plantation. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 997. He suddenly remembered that he had something important to do, so he used his consciousness to communicate with the three mutant creatures and asked them to wait for him first, and at the same time he rushed out of the plantation. Wang Feng was eager to leave because at this time, there were still a large number of creatures from the land of divine punishment in his Xianyuan space. Among these creatures, there were both monster legions that Lin Li had conquered and creatures that the expeditionary army wanted to raise. Because everyone had to leave the land of divine punishment, of course these creatures had to be taken away, because these creatures all belonged to the land of divine punishment, and the rules of heaven and earth were very special, so it would not cause disorder in the space channel. However, Wang Feng was still worried that they would stay in his Xianyuan space for too long and there would be some trouble, so he wanted to put them in the breeding garden first. When Wang Feng came to the breeding garden, he found that it was the same as the plantation, and there was no change, except that there were many more animals originally raised in it. That's right, no one has come here for more than 10 years, and those animals are still raised in isolation by species, so the population of each creature has become much larger. Wang Feng separated all the creatures in his space that were raised by the Hope Expeditionary Force and placed them in the breeding garden. Then he left here and found another large cabin to release Lin Li's monster army. These monster armies did not need to be separated and isolated, because before leaving, Lin Li had already given them orders, so they were more obedient than those raised creatures. After releasing all the creatures, Wang Feng finally breathed a sigh of relief, and then came to the plantation again. When he stepped into the plantation, he couldn't help but be stunned. The few monster corpses he had just thrown out had been eaten up by 3 mutant creatures. When Rura saw Wang Feng coming back, he immediately threw himself on Wang Feng, and then refused to go down no matter what. It was probably because he was afraid that Wang Feng would leave them here for more than 10 years. During these 10 years, Rura was quite depressed and definitely didn't want to experience it again. Wang Feng had no choice but to tell the willow tree and the mutant beehive to stay here first. When there was a better place, he would release them to the outside world for some fresh air before leaving the plantation. After returning to the control hall, Wang Feng began to search for his position in the star map of the Yanhuang. As expected, he really found his position in the star map. Although he didn't know whether the star map of this star field was drawn by the human race's own exploration spacecraft or exchanged with other races, these were no longer important to Wang Feng. He just needed to know where to build so as not to get lost in the universe. You know, the vastness of the universe is beyond the imagination of humans. Although those creatures gave the human race 20 years of preparation time to let them prepare on their own, if Wang Feng and his team got lost in this galaxy of the cosmic ghost, it can be said that let alone 20 years, even wandering in the universe for 200 years, 2000 years is possible. Thinking of this, Wang Feng suddenly had some enlightenment. Maybe, the star map of Yanhuang was directly imported into Yanhuang by those creatures. Wade wanted to prevent them, the human race, from getting lost in the universe. Haha. You're very thoughtful, huh? Wang Feng smiled faintly. But don't expect us to be grateful to you. Then, Wang Feng directly controlled Yanhuang, left the orbit of the home planet of the cosmic ghost, and entered the home planet. After landing Yanhuang above the portal, Wang Feng looked at the empty ground below. After thinking about it, he went to the plantation first and put the mutant willow and mutant beehive into Xianyuan space. Then he walked out of Yanhuang, put it into Xianyuan space, and slowly landed on the ground. Although he might not stay here for a long time, and since it was the home planet of the cosmic ghost, he didn't think there were any other creatures on the planet, but Wang Feng thought it would be better to release the mutant willow and mutant beehive for a while. As for the Yanhuang, of course, it should be placed in Xianyuan space. Besides, if it is not stored, it will block the sunlight, right? The home planet of the cosmic ghost actually has 3 suns. It seems that there should be no mythical figure Hao Yi on this planet, or Hao Yi here is not very dedicated, so there are 2 more suns. He threw the willow tree directly next to the portal and let it take root. Then Wang Feng took out a tent, built it himself, and made a bonfire. While grilling, he wondered what the endless road was. Rura also lay obediently at the side, staring at the animal as big as a horse that Wang Feng was roasting, drooling. The endless road, judging from the name, it should be related to the endless tower. Wang Feng murmured. And, the voice before also said that all other races should be teleported to the endless tower. Tower? Wang Feng's eyes suddenly lit up. The endless tower must be very high, even without an end. That's what an endless tower is. Generally speaking, towers are built layer by layer. Although the endless tower he entered before had no stairs going up or down, they were going to enter the primordial star directly at that time, not to reach the top of the endless tower. So, this endless road should be climbing the endless tower. If it is layer by layer, does it mean that there will be a race on each layer, and the human race needs to destroy the gatekeeper race on each layer to enter the next layer? If this is the case, then the human race still has hope. Otherwise, if all races come together, Wang Feng knows without a doubt that no matter how powerful the human race is, it will be eaten up in an instant. Tisk. Forget it. Anyway, no matter what, we have to go on this endless road. Let's see when the time comes. At most, we can just kill our way through it. Wang Feng shook his head and decided not to think about these things for the time being. Anyway, wait for Duan Lei and the others first, and then go to the mother planet to pick up Luqiang and the others. This time, the endless road is estimated to take these guys with it, and you can also get some information from them. They may know more about this endless road than themselves in the outside world. They are basically closed in the land of divine punishment, just like the prison before. After more than an hour, the aroma of the barbecue was already very strong. Wang Feng took out the seasoning and sprinkled it evenly on the barbecue. He tore off a thigh and threw the rest to Rura. Rura, who couldn't wait any longer, immediately pounced on it and started eating. Facing food that was bigger than her body, Rura didn't seem to feel that she couldn't eat it at all, and even forgot that she had just eaten a meal. After being locked up in the Yanhuang for more than 10 years, Rura's body size has not increased. It is still about the same size as a medium-sized dog. But it's no wonder. Can you expect a cat to grow like a pig by eating grass every day? Especially Rura is white, not an orange cat. After eating the barbecue, Wang Feng took out the tablet and began to study the star map. He had to find a route that could reach the mother planet as quickly as possible to save time. Those people from the Hope Empire on the mother planet still needed time to train. Although they have not awakened yet, there is a chaotic energy in the Endless Tower. They may be able to awaken in the Endless Tower, then the extra fighters can be put to use. After studying for several hours, Wang Feng finally determined the route to return to the mother planet. Now Wang Feng is more certain that this star map is left to the human race by those high-ranking creatures. Because this star map is much more detailed than the previous star map of Yanhuang, many space overlaps that were not in the previous star map have been marked out, which are not in the previous star map. Because space overlaps cannot be sensed by relying on detection spacecraft alone, only manned space battleships can find space overlaps after approaching the space overlaps at a certain distance, and use the fluctuations of the star map and space overlaps to calculate its exit. However, the route chosen by Wang Feng is not the fastest one to return to the mother planet. Compared with that route, it will probably waste more than 3 months. However, If they take this route, Wang Feng and his team can go to the previous Atlantis to take a look, although Wang Feng has already determined that Atlantis must have been destroyed by the cosmic ghost. But this trip to the secondary universe has reawakened Wang Feng's memories of Atlantis in his heart. So even though it will waste 3 months, Wang Feng still feels that he should go there to take a look, which can be regarded as fulfilling a wish. After all, it is also the place where he was born. For the people of Hope Base, Hope Empire, and Hope Expeditionary Force, Atlantis is their real mother planet, although there is no portal to the original star. Duan Lei and his team will definitely not object to the route set by Wang Feng. In addition to Dong Huang Tai, even number 7 has been to Atlantis, and number 7 can even be said to have been reborn in Atlantis. Wang Feng didn't know at this time that Dong Huang Tai had fallen, and number 7. A week passed quickly. On this day, Wang Feng lay opposite the portal from the morning, waiting there lazily, waiting for Duan Lei and his group to arrive. He was basically sure that after Duan Lei and his group appeared and saw the situation in front of them, their expressions would be quite good. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 998. Wang Feng waited for about 6 hours. At noon, the portal finally lit up. Then, small fighters continued to pour out of it and flew to the side. Don't run around. Enter your own warships. Then prepare for dinner. Looking at these guys who seemed to be looking for a fight as soon as they came out, Wang Feng couldn't help laughing. He picked up the communication and shouted inside. Before leaving, they had already determined the communication channel. In this way, as long as they came out of the portal, Wang Feng could directly command them to fight. They had just entered the battlefield and were definitely not as familiar with the situation as Wang Feng, so this was the best way. The first group to enter the portal were of course the core members such as Lu Feng and Tang Haoshan. This was the tradition of the Hope Expeditionary Force. The core members were to rush to the front when encountering danger, and to receive benefits, they were to line up at the back. This danger was brought out by Wang Feng himself, because he is such a person. As for receiving the benefits later, it was brought out by Lu Qiang, because this honest middle-aged man never competes with anyone. And he happened to be the first to follow Wang Feng, and his status was not lower than Duan Lei, Lu Feng, or Tang Haoshan, and even in terms of closeness, he was even closer than Lu Feng. After all, Lu Qiang, this big guy, had lived and died with Wang Feng. It can even be said that he saved Wang Feng twice, once outside their base, and the other time, of course, was when killing the mutant zombie. So, even Lu Qiang didn't compete, and others naturally had to be humble. After a few times, this habit was brought out by Lu Qiang, this guy. Since this is also a good habit, neither Wang Feng nor Duan Lei stopped it. If the two of them didn't talk, who else would dare to say anything about Lu Qiang? These fighter planes that came out were originally a little strange, and I even wondered if I had walked into the wrong set. The environment here is wrong? The imagined battleships and fighter planes flying all over the sky and energy beams shooting everywhere did not appear. Instead, it was quiet. Not to mention the battleships, not even a moving object could be seen. Because Wang Feng was lying on the ground in front of the portal, and Lu Feng and his attention was in the air, they did not notice Wang Feng for a while. They were all greatly surprised when they saw the scene in front of them. Even if they came out and saw a large group of cosmic ghosts fighting, they might not be as surprised as they are now. At least Wang Feng had done it, so they could barely accept it. But what about now? There is nothing, not even the wreckage of fighter planes and space battleships. They did not find a piece, and looking at the ground below, it did not look like there had been a fierce air battle. Could it be that Wang Feng is so awesome? He just picked up the headquarters of the cosmic ghosts alone without making any noise? Or did this guy directly put the headquarters of the cosmic ghosts into Xianyuan space? But the cosmic ghosts are intelligent creatures. When collecting creatures from Xianyuan space, if the consciousness of those creatures resists, the collection will fail. When collecting those cultivated creatures in the land of divine punishment, Wang Feng and his team first knocked them all unconscious before collecting them. As for Lin Li's monster army, it was not so difficult. Under Lin Li's control, it was easily collected. Just when Lu Feng and his team were wondering whether Wang Feng really wiped out the Cosmic Ghost clan alone, the voice that sounded in the communicator made them think that their guess was right. Wang Feng, this guy, actually wiped out all the cosmic ghosts? What the hell is going on? Maybe because they came out late, after Lu Feng and his team came out of the portal, the voice that sounded in Wang Feng's mind before did not remind them again, so none of them knew that the cosmic ghosts had actually been teleported to the Endless Tower. Since there was no more fighting, Lu Feng and his team naturally followed Wang Feng's orders and drove their fighter planes to the 3 space battleships that Wang Feng had already prepared. Lu Feng also asked Gui Weivong to stay in the space battleship and kept talking to the small fighter planes that arrived later to return to their own space battleships. Wang Feng couldn't be responsible for this job, because Lu Feng and his team had countless doubts in their hearts, waiting for Wang Feng to explain, so they had to let Gui Weivong suffer for a while. Leaving the warship in a hurry, Lu Feng and the others all gathered around Wang Feng. Before they sat down, Lu Feng started yelling. "Madman! What's going on? You're not going to kill all those bastards yourself? Didn't I ask you to leave some for us? Sit down, sit down." Wang Feng waved his hand. He also heard Gui Weivong shouting and taking over his command. He simply put down the communicator, put his hands on his head, and looked up at the sky. "Hurry up! What's going on?" Lu Feng sat down next to Wang Feng and continued to ask. "What's the hurry? Let's talk about it after Lazy Eye comes out." Wang Feng still looked at the sky and answered casually. "Otherwise, I have to say it again after he comes out." Wang Feng knew that Duan Lei would definitely be the last one to come out, because he was already here, and during the battle, Wang Feng's command would definitely be better than Duan Lei's. Although Duan Lei could fight intelligently in a very special way because of his improved intelligence, he still couldn't compare with Wang Feng. Duan Lei's command method was only suitable for small-scale wars. It would be a bit difficult for him to analyze a war with a scale of more than 100,000. Unlike Wang Feng, he could make the most correct judgment on the battlefield without thinking, relying solely on his intuition. This kind of talent cannot be trained. On the other side, a person of sufficient weight was also needed to sit in charge, because no one knew whether this portal could last until the moment when all of them left. The one who opened the portal this time was naturally Qiu Jian, because when Dong Huangtai and number 7 activated the portal for the first time and sent Wang Feng away, the portal was already completely activated by Dong Huangtai. Therefore, when opening the portal again, only number 7 was needed. Hearing Wang Feng's words, Lu Feng had no choice but to lie down helplessly, looking at the sky, and wondering in his mind what Wang Feng had to do to quietly destroy the 2 space fleets and nearly 10,000 space battleships. Moreover, it also includes an unknown number of small fighters and ground forces that are definitely quite large. However, no matter how he thought about it, Lu Feng could not think of any possibility, unless those space ghosts were all crazy or collectively unconscious, this situation would be possible. It would take a long time for nearly 100,000 small fighters to pass through that small portal. When destroying the space ghost's nest before, Wang Feng thought it was good, at least the enemy's fighters could not suddenly appear on the battlefield in large numbers, but now it was the Hope Expeditionary Force's turn, and Wang Feng could not help but complain in his heart. Fortunately, the space ghosts have all disappeared now, and the Hope Expeditionary Force is not in any danger. Moreover, no matter how many fighters there are, there will be a moment when all of them pass through. When Duan Lei drove the fighter plane and took the body of Dong Huangtai through the portal, number 7 also walked into the portal. When number 7 entered the portal was finally closed, cutting off the connection with the outside world. The land of divine punishment became dead silent again. When the portal was closed, the entire land of divine punishment began to shake violently, and then the entire land of divine punishment began to gradually become dim and blurred, and finally disappeared completely. The land of divine punishment has completed its historical mission and there is no need for it to exist. After seeing number 7 walk out of the portal and the portal was immediately closed, Wang Feng nodded to number 7, motioning him to come to his side, and then turned to look at the last fighter plane that flew out of the portal. If Wang Feng guessed correctly, the pilot in that fighter plane should be Duan Lei. Sure enough, when Duan Lei opened the hatch and revealed his head, Wang Feng laughed, but his smile soon froze on his face, because he saw Duan Lei jump out of the fighter plane by himself after opening the hatch. Wang Feng turned his head again to look at number 7, but there was still only number 7, so, where was Dong Huangtai? Seeing Wang Feng looking left and right, Lu Feng knew that Wang Feng was looking for Dong Huangtai, so he sighed softly and said, "Dong Huangtai, he has fallen." "What?" Wang Feng jumped up when he heard Lu Feng's words. "You said Dong Huangtai is dead." "Yes." Lu Feng nodded and said, "Because the portal was activated, so, after you entered the portal, Dong Huangtai fell down. This is the price he needs to pay to activate the portal. In addition, this is also the main reason why he must follow you back to the land of divine punishment." Dong Huangtai said. "This is his mission." Tang Haoshan also said softly on the side. For people like Dong Huangtai, Tang Haoshan, a generous man, has always respected him very much. Actually, Wang Feng was stunned for a long time, and then he spoke blankly, his tone full of sadness. "I still have a lot of things that I haven't asked him yet." In the midday sun, tears flickered faintly in Wang Feng's eyes. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 999. Madman. His mission has almost been completed. Number 7 came over and patted Wang Feng on the shoulder. "Next, it depends on us. You should know his wish." Wang Feng raised his head and looked at the endless sky. "Yes. I know. Meow." At this time, Lu Wanting had also disembarked from the small fighter plane and was walking towards Wang Feng. With a meow, a figure rushed towards Lu Wanting like lightning. Of course it was the little guy Rira. Rira had met Lu Wanting when she was very young, and it was Lu Wanting who got her name. Now that she saw her mistress, Rira was of course excited. Although she had grown very big, she still threw herself into Lu Wanting's arms. "Rutu." Lu Wanting was also pleasantly surprised. Rira had been missing with the Yanhuang for so many years, and she didn't expect to see it again today. However, just when Rira pounced on Lu Wanting, a sudden change occurred. Lu Wanting's body suddenly shot out a red light, which shot towards Rira very quickly. Rira's body was in the air and had no time to dodge. Moreover, it could not think of Lu Wanting. It will attack it and be directly hit by the red light. Meow. Rira, who was hit by the red light, let out a scream, then fell from the air and fell heavily to the ground, his body twitching continuously. "What's going on?" Everyone was shocked. Wang Feng even teleported to Rira's side and put his hand on Rira's body. Lu Wanting also ran over quickly. This attack was certainly not from her, so she was also confused. "Where's the ultimate rough stone?" Wang Feng felt the life fluctuations in Rira's body, and suddenly seemed to remember something, so he raised his head and looked at Lu Wanting and asked, "The life fluctuations in Rira's body are very strong, and they are getting stronger and stronger. It doesn't seem to be the case. It looked like it had been attacked and seriously injured." In that case, the life fluctuations in its body should be getting weaker and weaker. In addition, the attack just now was a red light, which reminded Wang Feng of the red ultimate rough stone. Dong Huangtai once said that the ultimate rough stone is accompanied by various attributes at the beginning of its birth, and it can only be recognized by them. Only creatures that can absorb it must have a certain attribute of their body reach its extreme level and be completely integrated with that attribute in heaven and earth. But Dong Huangtai was talking about the creatures recognized by the ultimate original stone, but he did not say that they must be humans. Now it seems that Rura may have become a creature recognized by the red ultimate rough stone. Because he has not been recognized, Wang Feng does not know what attributes the red ultimate rough stone has, but no matter what attributes it is definitely a good thing that Rura can get its recognition. That's why Wang Feng asked Lu Wanting this question. Because Lu Wanting likes these two ultimate rough stones, these two stones have always been on her body. Originally, Wang Feng thought that when fighting the cosmic ghost, he would temporarily put these two stones into the Xianyuan space, so as not to it would be a pain in the ass for any other cosmic ghost to gain their approval. But when he left the land of God's punishment and entered the portal, he had been thinking about what to do after entering the headquarters of Cosmic Ghost, so he forgot about it. Lu Wanting was also confused because Wang Feng was about to leave. So I didn't think about it, so these two stones were left at Lu Wanting's place. Hearing Wang Feng's question, Lu Wanting quickly patted her pocket with her hand, then her face changed, she reached in and took out a green stone, but the red one was nowhere to be seen. Seeing this, Wang Feng nodded slightly and was about to speak when he saw that the green ultimate rough stone that Lu Wanting had just taken out actually disappeared from Lu Wanting's hand and turned into a stream of light and flew to the side. Wang Feng turned around and saw the green ultimate stone shooting directly into the mutated willow tree he planted behind the portal. The willow tree hit by the green light shrank rapidly. It soon turned into a small sapling, shaking constantly. The most amazing thing is that the mutated beehive that was originally hanging on the mutated willow tree has actually shrunk at this time, becoming only as big as an egg, and the bees in the hive are only as big as millet grains. What's going on? Wang Feng was in a daze. The five of them worked hard and spent more than half a year going back and forth and delaying to get these two ultimate rough stones. However, he hoped that no one of the nearly 100,000 people in the expedition could get these two ultimate rough stones. Recognized. Wang Feng originally planned to bring these two stones back to his home planet for Lu Qiang and the others to try. Unexpectedly, just after leaving the land of God's punishment, these two ultimate rough stones actually recognized Rura and mutated willow tree one after another, which was a bit surprising. Make Wang Feng dumbfounded. But consider that these two mutated creatures also belong to you. After they are strengthened, they can naturally increase their own strength, so it is not a loss. It is better than holding these two broken stones all the time. As for the current situation of Rura and mutated willow, they should be in the process of merging with the ultimate original stone. Wang Feng feels that they will not be in any danger. However, Wang Feng feels that they should not wait here forever. Who knows what they are? How long will this process between the two last? So, Wang Feng turned to look at Duan Lei and others and asked. Do you need any repairs? No need. Duan Lei and the others shook their heads. They originally thought that they would face an extremely fierce battle after coming here. Therefore, before entering the portal, they naturally had to make themselves reach their peak state. Now, there is no battle at all. Of course, they don't need any repairs and can set off directly. Okay. Wang Feng stood up directly, looked down at Roro and said. Return to your own warships immediately and prepare to set off. I will send you the star map later, and I have set the route. Duan Lei and the others looked at each other, then turned around and left, entering the three space battleships. Wang Feng released the Yanhuang, looked at Roro who was still twitching again, hesitated for a while, and finally did not put it into his Xianyuan space, but turned to the mutant willow tree, took out the Xianyuan sword, and dug the willow tree out with its roots. Fortunately, the willow tree has now turned into a seedling, so Wang Feng didn't need to spend much effort. Then he walked to the Yanhuang. The smart Lu Wanting immediately picked up Rura and followed Wang Feng into the Yanhuang. At the same time, in addition to number 7, Xiao Wu, Qiu Jian and Qin Xuan, Lin Li also followed Wang Feng, because Lin Li's monster army was still in the Yanhuang. As for the others, since they didn't know that the Yanhuang could be recovered, they were assigned to the other 3 warships when they were assigned personnel. After entering the Yanhuang, Wang Feng first placed the mutant willow tree in the plantation, and carefully looked at the mutant beehive that shrank with it. When he saw the mutant beehive that was only the size of an egg and the mutant bees that were smaller than ants, Wang Feng couldn't help but laugh. As for Rura, Lu Wanting had already carried her directly to the control hall, while Lin Li naturally went to reunite with his monster army. Xiao Wu and the other 3 entered the control hall without any awareness, ready to continue to be their super light bulbs. After planting the mutant willow tree in the plantation, Wang Feng left the plantation and walked towards the control hall. At this time, Wang Feng didn't know that he had just escaped a catastrophe. Before, Wang Feng wanted to put Rura and the mutant willow tree, along with the mutant beehive, into the Xianyuan space, but he hesitated for a moment and felt that in his Xianyuan space, it seemed that there was no other law of heaven and earth except the law of space. At this time, Rura and the mutant willow tree were obviously integrating some law of heaven and earth. If they were placed in the Xianyuan space, it might have some impact. Wang Feng was right. Rura and the mutant willow tree were in the process of integrating the laws of heaven and earth. At this time, they certainly needed to communicate with the laws of heaven and earth in the outside world. However, if Wang Feng put them into Xianyuan space, not only would they die, but Wang Feng would also die. The ultimate original stone contains a large number of single laws. Once it recognizes a certain creature and enters its body to merge with it, it will naturally release the single laws it contains. During the release process of these laws, because the outside world also has the same laws, they will no longer want to infiltrate the outside world, but directly change the host's body to make it more adaptable to its own laws and reach the extreme. However, in Xianyuan space, there are only space laws, and no other laws exist. So if Wang Feng took Rura and the others in at that time, the ultimate raw stones in their bodies would introduce their own laws into his Xianyuan space. In this way, Wang Feng's Xianyuan space would collapse instantly, causing the space nodes in Wang Feng's body to be annihilated, and Wang Feng's body would naturally turn into nothingness. The existence of space is either a single space law, which supports the existence of space alone, like Xianyuan space, or all other laws are sound and balanced to maintain the stability of space, that is, the external universe. Apart from these 2 methods, there is no other way to stabilize the existence of a space. Wang Feng, who had no idea that he had escaped a disaster, returned to the control hall. The first thing he did was to connect with the other 3 space battleships and pass the star map of the Yanhuang to the other 3 space battleships. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 1000. 4 identical space battleships sailed in the vast universe, heading towards a distant galaxy, and that galaxy was the planet where Wang Feng and the others were born, Atlantis. Everyone, listen up. What I'm going to say next is the information I got after leaving the land of God's punishment. Wang Feng directly turned on the autopilot and let the Yanhuang sail along the predetermined route. Then he turned on the big screen, and the control halls of the other 3 space battleships suddenly appeared on the big screen. Looking at the people on the big screen, Wang Feng said, "First of all, our current direction is to the Star of Atlantis. I want to take one last look at our hometown before embarking on the endless road. Even if it has been destroyed, we can see the familiar galaxy. It's my wish granted. After all, we all came from there. That planet carries so many memories for us, family, friendship, love, parting and death. I even guess that Guy Laolu is probably still thinking about a certain bird on that planet that snatched food from him or bit him. Pass his dog. Ha 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 ha. Wang Feng's words actually made the atmosphere among the slightly silent people become more lively. And I'm the one who bites them all the time, okay. Lu Feng muttered somewhat depressedly, which made everyone laugh even louder. As for the endless road, I will talk about it later. First of all, I want to say, after you rushed out of the portal, why didn't you see any cosmic ghost in the territory of the cosmic ghost, not even their headquarters building? All gone. Those cosmic ghosts were not eliminated by me, they just left. Just after I stepped out of the portal, a voice sounded in my mind. Wang Feng told in detail what he experienced after leaving the portal, including his own thoughts. After Wang Feng finished speaking, others also fell into deep thought. Although what Wang Feng just said was not much, the amount of information was quite large. Endless road, endless tower, breaker, 20 years of preparation time. The most important thing is that the information clearly revealed that the human race will fight against all the other races of the primitive star with the power of a clan. The primitive star has nearly 10,000 intelligent races. How will the confrontation in Endless Road look like? 1-on-1? 1-on-2? Or a pair of all? What does it take to be considered successful? Kill all creatures of the enemy race? If so, how much blood will be stained on the hands of the human race after they walk the endless road? Among the tens of thousands of races, most of them have no hatred against their human race. When facing such a race, can they take action? Even if they can do it, what will become of their human race after experiencing so many killings? After Wang Feng finished speaking, even Duan Lei, the think tank of the Hope Expeditionary Force. Maybe it hasn't made any sound for a long time. Because he thinks more, this endless road is obviously a test, but what is the ultimate purpose of this test? What is certain is that if the human race really slaughtered them all the way, then people like them will probably lose their minds in the end and turn into bloodthirsty beasts. In particular, after all other races are exterminated, what is the point of leaving the human race? The universe is so big. Can they occupy a planet by themselves and dominate the universe in this way? Duan Lei knew that he, Wang Feng, and all the members of the Hope Expeditionary Force, their dream, their goal, was not to dominate the universe, they just wanted to find a planet like Atlantis. There is no threat from enemies on the planet, just live peacefully on it. After experiencing so many things, I am afraid that every member of the Hope Expeditionary Force is already exhausted. If there were not so many people carrying it together, some of them would have fallen long ago. A stable and peaceful life is now their greatest wish, but this life, which was easiest to obtain in peacetime and before the end of the world, is so out of reach for them now. Madman. Duan Lei finally spoke, but he did not express his thoughts, but asked Wang Feng. What do you think? There is nothing to see. Since that voice said that we will all enter the endless road in 20 years, then we may not be able to escape. In this case, we can only take one step at a time. Now we are unable to resist, does not mean that we will always be dominated by them. Wang Feng didn't hesitate at all, and said directly as if he had already thought of the answer. No matter what their ultimate goal is, as long as we keep going, there will always be a day when we know the truth. As for how to break through after entering, we can only wait until the endless road begins. I think, now that you won't tell us the rules. All right. After hearing Wang Feng's words, Duan Lei seemed to suddenly think about it, so he simply nodded and said. Then let's forget it for now and wait until we reach the endless road. Now, let's go home together. Yeah. After hearing Duan Lei's words, all the warships, except for Wang Feng's Yanhuang, were jubilant. There was no other way, because there were only a few people in Wang Feng's Yanhuang. Because Wang Feng just opened the command channel, not only the control hall, but also the members of all the warships could hear their conversation, but they could not see the image and could not speak. Those soldiers who hoped to join the expeditionary force were also from Atlantis. Although they guessed that Atlantis had been destroyed, they were still excited after knowing that the direction of advance was Atlantis and they were about to go home. This is the attachment of human beings to their homeland, just like a wanderer who has been away from home for a long time, finally returns to his hometown, even if the old house has been demolished and replaced with tall buildings, even if the surrounding scenery has completely changed, and it no longer looks like what he remembers. But this place still gives him a very familiar feeling, because this place will always be his hometown, and childhood memories will always be the most nostalgic, although no one knew at the time that they should cherish that time. Because they have the information of almost all the space overlap points along the way, Wang Feng and his team sailed very fast this time, because they don't have to take any detours. If they had gone directly to the mother planet, they would have been able to reach the mother planet in about 2 years. But because they had to turn a corner and go to Atlantis, it would take more than 3 months. The home planet of the cosmic ghost, the home planet of the human race and the home planet of Atlantis, form an obtuse triangle. The two home planets are at the acute angles on both sides, while Atlantis is at the obtuse angle at the top, which is closer to the home planet of the human race. Therefore, if Wang Feng and his team want to go to Atlantis, it is not too roundabout to turn in the middle. Of course, for Wang Feng and his team, it is completely uncertain whether they can come out or how many people can come out after officially entering the endless road this time. Therefore, even if the direction is opposite, I am afraid that Wang Feng will choose to go back to Atlantis first, hope to see the place where the expeditionary force originated. During the voyage, Wang Feng kept the screen on, so although they were in 4 space battleships, it was almost the same as being in the same battleship. The reason why he did not gather all the others in one battleship was because Wang Feng wanted them to drive the space battleship by themselves and adapt to the space. Although they had trained for a long time before, and even the formation of small fighters was quite familiar, after all, the communication was carried out in the land of God's punishment, which was a relatively small space, which was quite different from the universe. Therefore, during this voyage, not only the space battleships, but also the small fighters inside, flew into the universe from time to time, familiarizing themselves with the vast and boundless feeling in the universe. Since the Yanhuang has been found, the rest of the space battleships naturally cannot be called this name, so Wang Feng simply asked Duan Lei, Lu Feng, and Tang Haoshan to name the space battleships driven by the 3 of them. Duan Lei didn't care, and directly named his space battleship the Expedition. It happened that they were the Hope Expeditionary Force, and the Hope was the Space Ghost battleship with its own space, which was still on the human mother planet at the moment, so he simply used the word expedition at the end as the name of his battleship. Before Lu Feng could think of a name for his spaceship, Mars shamelessly called it Mars, which was unanimously resisted by everyone. After a long discussion, they decided to call it Atlantis. Naturally, no one objected to this name. As for Tang Haoshan's spaceship, Tang Haoshan did not think much about it and directly named it Black Dragon. Tang Haoshan's explanation was very simple. They met Wang Feng at Black Dragon Bridge, and later established the Hope Base in Black Dragon City. Without the battle at Black Dragon Bridge, perhaps they would not have known Wang Feng, let alone the existence of the Hope Base. Therefore, his spaceship is called Black Dragon. Feng, come here. On this day, Wang Feng was chatting with number 7 and others in the control hall. Lu Wanting, who was in charge of driving the space battleship, suddenly turned around and said. Wang Feng heard the goddess call, how could he be negligent, and immediately stood up and came to Lu Wanting's side. What's the matter? I think. Since the death of Dong Huang Tai, number 7 seems to be a little wrong, as if he is hiding something in his heart. Otherwise, you go and ask. Lu Wanting said in a low voice.